Nintendo wants him gone, y'all. Have you guys seen the new Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom trailer? Because if you saw the same thing that I saw, you would realize that Nintendo does not want anything to do with Link anymore. Okay, let me reel it in a little bit. That's a little bit much, I understand. You have a brand new top-down 2D Zelda in the form of The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. And for those of you who don't know, it is a complete reimagining in the, perhaps not complete, but it is a drastic overhaul, I would say, of the general formula and structure for a traditional top-down 2D Zelda, in the sense that Link is not the protagonist. But interestingly enough, that's not what shakes it up the most. It's not only the inclusion of Zelda as the game's protagonist, but also the exploration and combat mechanics of the game. I was really wowed to see how much influence this game took from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and how much it makes sense in a way. Having played Link's Awakening and A Link to the Past, it really catches my eye to see how you can translate these 3D elements into this 2D format and make it work so well. I mean, I'm gonna be playing the trailer in the background here, but Zelda has the ability to summon items, summon enemies, summon structures, and this is essentially, from what we've kind of been shown, it's the crux of the game, right? Zelda can summon a bed to help her climb and traverse across different areas. Zelda can summon a bird to help her float down from a cliff. Zelda can summon, bokoblins or other enemies that appear throughout the map, because after capturing them and then use them to her advantage, that little kind of circle, that little cycle seems like such an engaging gameplay loop. Because if you think about it, in this trailer alone, there were a lot of instances where there were things that at least I would observe be like, oh, that would be cool, I guess, given what they've just explained about the whole capture mechanic, for Zelda to be able to capture. And then they would show off Zelda capturing it, and I'm like, damn, that's really neat. That's the type of creativity and that's the type of ingenuity that made Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom more recently so engaging to play, is that you could, let your mind run wild. Breath of the Wild was groundbreaking for the 3D formula of Zelda because it broke free from that traditional linearity. In a similar sense, this game is breaking free from that traditional linearity. And I think it's really nice that they had practice, or at least the developers had practice with this engine that they are continuing to use from the Link's Awakening remake. Whether or not you like it, I suppose that's totally up to personal preference. For me, at least, I think it looks adorable. I think it's amazing. Visually, it's striking. I think if you kind of go with the kind of traditional style, I think of course it would look good, but that's what makes it more visually appealing to me. Could be just that I'm a little bit more open to kind of shifting up or shaking up art styles and things of that nature. As long as the game is good and as long as I can see that there's been passion put into it, by all means, go ahead and shake things up. But I digress. This is new. This is new. It's a completely new way for Zelda to showcase her sorcery, because again, her sorcery before in like examples, not that we've had that many canonical examples, I guess, but I guess Age of Calamity being canon, that game had Zelda being a very magic offensive character. And I think I can understand the sentiment that some folks might have as far as wishing that is the approach that Nintendo would have given Zelda's kind of combat style if she were to ever be the focal point of a game. So I can understand that, but I can't also fault them for trying to be original, because that's just Nintendo's thing. And their originality will, it'll take them real far, or it can fall short, but it very rarely falls short. And this is another example of just kind of trusting them. Because yeah, I could totally see it'd be super cool for Zelda to drop a completely magic bomb all over the place, but wouldn't it be more original and also quirkier and more fun and more visually pleasing if Zelda spawned a bed mid-boss fight to sleep and heal? That's just one of those things that you never think of because it's so out of the box, and that's why I gotta love Nintendo for this. It's just complete out of the box thinking. Circling back to my initial kind of thought path from the beginning of the video, does Nintendo not care about Link anymore? I think the short answer is no. Quite honestly, Nintendo, by doing this, is not only proving to us, but more so proving to themselves that they don't need Link all the time. I think if they truly do want to stick to this pattern of, you know, continuous Zelda releases, they should be more comfortable and they should familiarize themselves with developing a game and putting out a game that doesn't focus on Link, because there's only so many Link adventures that you can kind of create and that you can kind of put out without getting stale. I mean, of course it does help that development times are taking longer nowadays, so usually people tend to kind of forget a little bit about the last time they played with Link, but to keep the Zelda franchise fresh more frequently, especially given that it's, you know, on par with Mario as far as popularity for them goes, especially as of in the Switch era, like the Legend of Zelda franchise is undeniably on the same level as Mario in terms of sales and kind of brand recognition. Maybe not fully brand recognition, but you get what I'm saying. It's just kind of, it's more recognizable and they have more to play with there. So why not? I mean, Mario is no stranger to having Luigi's Mansion, right? Mario is no stranger to having a WarioWare title. Mario is no stranger to Mario Kart, Mario Tennis. And not to say that the Zelda franchise has to do all of those spin-offs, because, you know, I don't think we need a Zelda tennis game, if that makes sense. But I think Luigi's Mansion is probably a good example, or Mario and Luigi, or Paper Mario. There's just offshoots that tend to include different variations of Mario and unique characters that you wouldn't typically see in your standard Mario Odyssey, right? They can do that. I mean, they were already planning on it in the Wii era with the, I think it's either Impa or Sheik, the solo game that they were getting Rareware to develop. I could be very wrong on that. Or Mercury Steam. It was one of those two developers that has worked closely with Nintendo in the past. That's all I can recall. But yeah, they were cooking something up as far as a non-Link role, protagonist role in a game. And now to see that this is kind of stayed in their minds and developed into this brand new top-down Zelda-led game, amazing. But on the other side of things, this trailer also showed off Zelda in this Link Swordfighter mode that she can unlock in this alternate realm. She can unlock Link's sword ability after defeating a shadow version of Link, which, by the way, so sick, so cool. Even though they showed off a brief glimpse of it in the trailer, I'm already digging it. I love it. I can't wait to play that for myself. Any type of shadow fight against a protagonist type of role, it's just a cliche that I love a lot. It's hard for it not to land, and I think this is already just going to stick the landing 100%. But yeah, after doing that, you get the sword ability, and you get to use it on a depleting meter. And that depleting meter can be refilled by collecting certain fragments, I believe, in the still world. And the more that you get, obviously it keeps the meter. It seems to be a primarily still world focused ability, because at least in the overworld, from what they're showing, there doesn't seem to be that many fragments that you can collect to refill it, and it does deplete pretty quickly in the overworld. So I guess that's kind of how they're balancing it out. But I love the idea that they had here to just be like, you know, we understand that fighting with the sword is still classic, right? It's just a classic Zelda thing. You want to wield a sword, so to give Zelda the sword, that kind of fixes the problem, and you don't need Link for that. And I guess just ultimately showing us that, yeah, Zelda can wield the sword too. So thank you guys for listening to my ramblings this time around. My name was Marco. It was a pleasure. I hope you guys have a good one.